Yo, what's up guys? Another video on Steel Fortress Abyss Hard. So this is the shittiest of shit dungeon there is. Why? Buff block. That's pretty much the only reason. We always struggle with a guaranteed buff block on any kind of shape of way that you also have to provide armor breaks and then make the run work. I've seen some people send me screenshots of this exact team on 22 or like 23-second average. Yes, it works with good RNG. So this is actually based on a team that I showcased way back in the days, which has the Clara plus the Gina for perfect eye state. And I already showed this team like 4th of October 2022. So that's pretty much, we're closing in on 3 years right now. This was even when there was no Abyss Hard back then. So what's the idea behind it? Clara into Gina gives Gina perfect eye on the boss, and therefore Gina will always use S2 on the boss if her S3 is not available and there is a buff on the boss. That is something I figured out back in those days. But yeah, that is still something you can use till this day. There's still usage to it, but there's one really big issue, and that is a 15%, sorry, not 50, 15% guaranteed miss of any given skill, no matter your accuracy or your resistance. So in this case, there is buffs over there. There is a guaranteed usage for that S2, and like this, you can definitely clear it, and it looks like an absolute insane team. It would be an absolute insane team if you would never miss that buff block. If you would never miss that buff block in the first place, I would replace the Heihachi for Debra and then just one-shot it always, or anything along those lines which would just give extra damage, that my Brandy would just straight up one-shot it. But, or just put more fight set on it, because right now there's triple fight on the Clara, triple fight on the Gina. So yeah, is this team good? Yes. I've seen a few people send this to me with the ideas like, oh, this is really good. It is pretty good. It is definitely pretty good. Heihachi has a good use case in this. I'll showcase the runes after this, after I yapped a little bit why it's good, why it's bad. The main reason why it's good is because you have a one-turn block buff, block buff on the Gina. But the moment that Heihachi has multiple buffs stated on the enemy, he will always goes for multiple debuffs, sorry. The moment that there's multiple debuffs on the enemy, Heihachi will always go for the skill 3, and Heihachi skill 2 or skill 3 is actually a 2-turn block buff. So if something goes wrong, like this in this case, the boss will take a turn, and with just the Gina on the field, you will lose your block buff over here. But due to Heihachi, you actually still have that. So there is a decent fail-safe in this, which does make it work. I've been running this for like about half a day right now. I tried a few different similar-ish teams like this as well, but it still does fail. Like if anyone shows you a team like this and it shows like 22 seconds, 23-second average, I've had that as well, but I also had 3 fails in a run of 10. So that is just the big difference out of that. Like if RNG goes bad 3 times in a row in a run of 10, you don't even get to finish all your 30. That's how bad it can be. And that's just a big issue on this shitty dungeon. So that is just one of those things. I do like this team. I can showcase the runes. I think that this is the best or like the fastest team out there, which has like a decent win rate-ish if RNG doesn't go like fully at ass. But issue is also, Lauren is not a full-on land for armor break. She has like a 2x75 check on her skill 1, or on her skill 2. I don't remember which one was the 2 hit and the 3 hit. But she has a 75% chance to land defense break. In the end, it is going to fail. And sure, if you let this run long enough, you're going to have an iteration of 30 at some point, which will make it good. But it is still one of those things. Just give us anything that lands buff block guaranteed. That's all we're asking for. We don't care what kind of unit. Also, if you make any unit that is pure on damage and doesn't have any HP scaling, don't give it an HP type count to us. Thank you for that one. But yeah, they still like to do that kind of nonsense. So here you see 34 seconds, which is not really that crazy. So what is the team looking like? Well, Heihachi is actually on a rage set, and then you need 24 accuracy, 85 over there. The minimum speed is 150 combat speed, so all of the units are above that. We have the Claire on a triple fight, because I can make the triple fight on a 24 accuracy. We can make this one also triple fight. This one is a lot easier to make triple fight. Claire, you actually have to push towards certain damage. Gina does way more than enough damage anyways. Then we have the Lauren on a fight plus double will, which helps out for a second turn if things go wrong. So she still has the will rune, she doesn't get stunned. And then we have the Brandia on my best set out there for damage, or pretty much my best set out there for damage. So that is the main thing that I have been working with. So I tried a few different things, because a unit that is a lot safer than a Brandia is a Hua. Hua is way better in the safety for this dungeon than the Brandia is, and that is mainly because of the potential pushback of the boss. The moment you slow the boss, if Lauren, because Lauren S2 doesn't slow, Lauren S1 does slow, and you have the pushbacks of the boss. So in that case, you do get a lot more value from a unit such as a Hua rather than the unit such as a Brandia. So let's see how the damage looks like right now with, once again, keep in mind, my best sets. So this one was just simply using 4 of the Brandia runes just earlier. And let's see how it works. You can definitely go for like less runes, less fight runes on like the team with the Brandia. Like I was trying to get my Brandia to one-shot where the Heihachi didn't even need a turn on that. I can get there. It gives you about like 18 seconds runs. But the big issue is that you then need to have more fight runes on Heihachi, or you have to go multiple fight runes over there. So let's see on a run like this. So in this case, yeah, that's definitely not going to be a kill because, as mentioned, Lauren Armor Break isn't a full activation rate as well. That's just, you could say it's like, oh, but you have low accuracy. You only, the boss has 39 resistance, so therefore 24 accuracy is already fine. Also, his skill 2 doesn't land a buff block. So as you can see already, if RNG is against you, these runs are just going to be kind of ass. That is just resistance on the skill 1. Once again, nice game. Unless this thing has some kind of hidden added in resistance, which I do really doubt. This boss has, by the data miners, just set on 40 resistance. So there's not more than 40 resistance on this boss. It's just sometimes where RNG is going to RNG, your skills are not going to activate. And it's just going to be bad. And that's just the main thing why we hate this stage, come to us. We still do hate this stage. They have been kind of trying slowly to get some more units in for buff block. But come to us, let me explain it. It's not really hard. Skill 3, guaranteed usage, multi-hit buff blocker, because you guys don't want to remove the resistance 15 check from PvE. Make it a multi-hitter, make it 100% activation, make it a guaranteed that it's going to be using that unit, and then it's just simple as that. Make a perfect AI, and then you have a perfect unit for this freaking stupid-ass stage, and we don't have to complain about it anymore. So yeah, in this case, that's where we see if we do proper damage, and then Heihachi damage is absolutely non-existing. Like, that's the main thing. With Brandia, you do enough damage. With Heihachi itself, you don't. If this Heihachi ever gets buffed to be an attack type, which it should be, because as you can see over here, wait, let me show you, I still have that thing open. Heihachi is a HP type. His HP is near to non-existing. Let me actually put this in frame. Or his attack is near to non-existing. 703, that's like very low. And then we see the scaling. We see scaling of HP and enemy, or like attack and enemy HP. Why enemy HP? And that's also a super low number. Then we have attack once again and enemy HP. And then we have full attack. Why the hell do you only have this much attack if you're like 3 skills on attack scaling? That doesn't make any freaking sense. Also, once again, we're looking at kind of a failed run because we probably simply did not do enough damage somewhere, or Lauren missed an armor break or anything like that. In the end, Lauren is not the most consistent of armor breaks unless your Lauren also moves multiple times. So what in the end is the best team for this? I think that the best team that you can probably make is any kind of team that's based on the Ling Ling moving twice. With Ling Ling moving twice, and then you have like a wave clear on either a Lucian, or you have a wave clear on like Rogues and that kind of stuff. But a Ling Ling moving twice is probably the best way to clear this. Or you go for Zinc and Gina. Zinc Gina together is also nice, but if you want to do that with a Claire, it's just not going to be that great. So either Zinc Gina or a Ling Ling moving twice, and then whatever cleans up the rest of the boss. But that is still potentially going to fail. It is just still an ass dungeon. I have one more team I want to give a try, which I haven't seen anyone use just yet, which is also Heihachi based. But let's see if that works. I'll let it run for a little bit, and then I'll come back to the video and showcase you what that team is all about. Okay, so I ruined up this team. I'm not sure if it's going to be any good, any better. I'm kind of fearing that he wouldn't always go for skill 3, and that's the main thing. But let's see how this works out. So haven't tested this one at all yet, but we of course have a perfect AI state with these two, and Shina will 100% kill over there. So that is going to be the main idea. The idea is that you go for an S3 over there. And then let's see if we go for this. Yep, okay, we do that. If there's enough debuffs, it should be fine. We already steal one thing. Yep, that's kind of my issue as well. He's not a full perfect AI unit. If he was a full perfect AI unit, then it would maybe be a thing. But you need like 3 debuffs for him to trigger him using his S3. If he doesn't, it's gonna be ass. Same as like every dungeon in here. And then he gets resisted again, even though he has like potential max accuracy for this stage. At least 24 should be max accuracy for this stage. But still, like, the moment your RNG is just bad, like, that's the same thing. Everyone kind of had that feeling at some point. You had a dungeon working for a very long time, and then suddenly, like, there's, like, so many fails in a row. Like, there's, like, 2-3 fails in a row. And it's like, you're like, what happened? Did I miss any runes? Did I change anything? No, I changed absolutely nothing. RNG is just against you at that moment. So let's see if the run does actually look like something that it should be working at. If it is even enough damage, because I'm not 100% sure. Also, the Hua could be replaced by a Brandia in that case. But yeah, to be honest, I still think that this is one of those dungeons that I would recommend people to just run a bit of a slower team. Just farm this when you don't have as much time to look at your phone, or the moment that you're just simply, just when you have less time. I think that's the main thing. Or is he at the state where the cooldown is too long? No, it's a 4-turn cooldown, right? 4-turn... Yeah, it is a 4-turn cooldown, so you should be able to have it back. Or do you need 3-turn cooldown to have it back? No, wait, that might be true. You need it to have a 3-turn cooldown, but then it's going to be as regardless. Yeah, that's an issue. He has a 4-turn cooldown, so he doesn't have the skill back in the final wave. So he needs to have one lower cooldown to actually make it use, where he can properly use it in both the mid-boss and... Also, once again, by design of Kanto, it's just a shitty unit. That's just the issue. Why does everything have to be like a half-ass shitty unit? That's just... It's getting frustrating, man. It's getting frustrating. So yeah, in the end, this team thought of it being something decent-ish, but also not really the case. Let's see if I can figure out or think of another team. I have seen some teams with the like the Fire Hwarang as well. I don't have it skilled up right now because I have been doing it back and forth on the event. He is pretty good for landing the branding, he is pretty good for stripping, but he's really bad for speedruns because his animations are just incredibly slow. So, because of slow animations, he's not really the greatest out there, but let's see if he maybe fits in some. Okay, build another team. Once again, not really satisfied about the result. Would probably still say that a Zinc Gina team does feel better, but this is kind of the other option that you could go for. Not too sure if I'm a big fan of the Hwarang in here. I think a Hua over here would probably do better, and then this is actually a pretty sound and solid team out there. But there's still one kind of issue out there, and that is that if you don't let armor break, you're not really killing in the first rotation. Your Ling Ling might get stunned, and Ling Ling, the buff bluffs, blood bluffs. Jesus, can't even speak on this shit. Well, it's only 6 seconds if it works. The block buffs does go for a 1-turn rather than a 2-turn, which is a little bit worse out there. So for that kind of sense, shape, and way, it is a little bit worse. Could you place Heihachi over here in this slot to go for the killing blow? That's actually an option. Let's try that after this run. I think that might be a semi-interesting one, and then I would have to make the Heihachi move right after... I think that would be... Well, let's give that a try, because then the two of them will definitely go for a kill. Let's give that a try. That might actually be a thing. Okay, this would be the right speed shooting. Gave him a little bit worse stats. I would say he still has to move after the Lauren. Yeah, I would still say that you move after Lauren. It's just to make the buff block longer in case anything goes wrong. That's the main thing that he's about to do in this state, but... I think that this one might be... Well, no, there's one big issue. He uses his skill before the wave. Yeah, no, then it's actually kind of bad, because then it does mean that he doesn't have his skill available in the next one. What I could do is actually make him move all the way last, because right now he doesn't have the skill. So Brandia will kill mid-wave, and he will kill final wave. I think that's going to be the game plan. Brandia does do an insane amount of damage this way, so I have to do -1 speed on him right now, and then it might actually be a decent one to do it for. Yeah, that might actually be a decent team. Let's see. This one kind of works for -1 speed. Crit rate is still fine. Attack is definitely a bit on the lower side, but it does work for the amount of speed that I need. Okay, let's see. This might actually be a pretty decent team, looking at like 25-ish second average. Of course, we have like a miss over there from freaking Lauren. So we're gonna waste this rotation right here, but let's just see how that works. Also, if your Lucian wouldn't kill on the waves, your rotation would be a lot worse, but... Okay, with 4 debuffs, you're almost at killing range. Would be nice if the Brandia was at killing range over there. Need a little bit better artifacts or runes or both to actually make that work, or more fight sets on like a Lucian or anything like that. Would maybe be a thing, but to be honest, doesn't look like too bad for this whole team. So let's see. Okay, this is where that kind of goes wrong and everyone starts spamming all of their skills. But let's just see how that goes if things do actually start to spam all of their wrong skills like that. So in this case, we have RO done. You still go for your skill in then. That's fine. And in this case, we have a potential for amputation. Okay, so that's getting it back to the normal state where it's fine. We do have all of that. Enough debuffs. Not enough debuffs to insta-kill. Would have been really nice if that actually went for an insta-kill right there. But I could see this team not failing that much. So I'm actually going to let it do a few runs of 30 just to see how far we get. I do want to post this video about like 2 hours later than now, which is my normal state. So I won't be doing insane amount of runs on this. But just to showcase, because I think that this team might be pretty decent. And I'll quickly go over the runes after I showcased how the first run of 30 does actually look like. Because this might be a thing. It doesn't look all too bad. Does not look all too bad. Because I think that this would be fairly safe. We got 2 buff blockers. If they do enough damage, Brandia can one-shot the wave. Or one-shot the final boss. And then we're looking at 22 seconds. If that was more often the case, it would be really nice and really safe. And this does have a lot more backups for things failing. So this might actually be a really nice team that we have at hand over here. So gonna let it run for a little bit. Okay, so I just came with one idea in mind. What if I just make the Heihachi on a triple fight set? Because his damage output isn't as much needed as his buff block extension is needed. And first 5 runs, 25-second average. Let's see if we can actually lower that down. Okay, so we're gonna go for a set like this. A lot less crit damage in there, but we still have the right amount of stats over there. Tuning is right. Let's see if this works for the Brandy to one-shot. I do think Brandia would one-shot. Well, if you can't make the Brandia one-shot, it's just like 3 seconds slower on average. But is that necessarily really bad? I don't think so. So in this case, I definitely do think we should be looking at one-shots. I don't have triple fight on the Ling Ling, so that is definitely a thing to keep in mind. Currently, we only have... Yeah, if we have that many buffs, then for sure it's just simply not gonna go there. Also, wait, I should do this... Wait. There's 2 more things that I messed up right now. First of all, we actually need will runes on the Heihachi, and we don't need will runes on the Brandia, because Brandia doesn't move all the way less. That's actually true. So let's change those 2 things as well. Okay, so with that, we can add a fair bit extra damage on you as well. A little bit of damage lowering because of less fight. But this should be fairly good to see. So we have those 2 over there. Let's also switch out yours to, I think a CD less in this case would do more on you because, well, you're just hitting that far all the way at the end anyway. So skill damage, skill 3 doesn't add as much. This is all fine. That's all fine. I just have to plus 3 speed on you, which is probably not that hard. That is 3. We just lower the crit rate for now. I don't care. That's all fine. That's all fine. Yep, let's go. Okay, so main question is, do we clear final wave or not? That's the main question. The rest of the waves will get there anyway, so we'll just see how it averages out. So 3 debuffs, definitely not. 4 debuffs would kill. I'm pretty confident 4 debuffs would kill. So gonna let this run for a little bit, and then we just see how that works. And it's just like a run of 30. But 23 seconds on this, that's not bad numbers. And I think this can go down to like 21, 22-ish seconds. So not a bad team altogether. Okay, let's see how many debuffs. That's 1 more debuff than with the other one. That's actually way more. Yeah, that's for sure a kill. Like if we get 5 debuffs, it's also a little bit of a longer rotation what the Ling Ling does. But then we're looking like 23 seconds still. Mainly because the Ling Ling went for a longer rotation on the skill rotations. But in the end, hey, if this always gets like 24 to 25 second average, I'm good with it. Because I don't think that this has that many fail chances. But let's see, could be wrong in that. Okay, we finished first run of 30, and it looks somewhat promising. I was watching some of the runs. We did get an average of 30, which is not crazy fast. Fastest run was 22nd, which is pretty nice. But let's look at some of the near-failed runs, because that's actually an interesting thing to look at, because any team that gets 1 fail, any failed run would be like 1 minute and 15. But we actually have a 50 or like a 60-second team over here. And I actually was looking at this one. It was the one just before this. We had no armor breaks landing. We had no buff block in the first rotation. And then units started dying from there. This team still managed to come back from you not landing a single armor break, you not landing a single buff block, and then the whole team had to go everything in the second rotation kind of style. It did work out, which is actually pretty insane. And there were some more runs like 43 seconds still succeeded over there. 50 seconds, full team still alive. Like, it does show that if things go bad, it still can survive here. Like 33 seconds, so that's just like a 1 turn. 40 seconds, still a whole team alive. So yeah, it's not like crazy super fast. 51 seconds, heal, well, almost whole team still alive. So yeah, it's not crazy fast, but I could definitely see this being a proper solid team out there. So let me showcase the runes, then I'm gonna do another run of 30, and then I'm gonna call it a video. So rune-wise, what we have is a double fight plus will over here. You have to be looking at 150 combat speed as we have over here. 24 accuracy is what you need, but he starts off with like 25, so you don't care about that shit. And then, of course, damage on whatever. Crit damage low is probably the best thing you can do rather than a crit damage 3, because he only takes turn when things are actually low. You have to go for a Ling that's at least plus 170 speed. If you're on a Swift set, then it's it's the 161 whatever thingy that is, but tick 5, that's what you want to be at. Like, so I made it on plus 160 or plus 174. You need, I think, 170 or 171, one of those two. 24 accuracy as mentioned. I did go for a crit rate 4, so I can add in a fight set. You could also add in more damage itself by crit damage set, and then don't go fight but go blade. Because if the Ling puts the minions into perfect AI range for the Lucian will always use S3. So I might actually give that a try. I think I will have like, yeah, let's do that as a little bit of a switch over here. Okay, we don't need that much stats on it. Let's go over here. Do we still have something that has a little bit of accuracy? Is that enough accuracy? That is enough accuracy to then also go for this rune over here, which is on you. Okay, then we have to fix a little bit more crit rate by that means. But I think we can actually do that because we can also lower some of the other stats. Okay, you still need accuracy. Okay, not ideal with the -1 crit rate, but it's a little bit more damage. So I'm just gonna have it a go and then see how that works. Because in this case, we can actually also do like proper damage on the wind rather than the other shits that I was doing. And let's give the other side some crit damage more because, well, it's better than the additional damage artifact, whatever I was doing. So now we're actually going to do some proper damage with the Ling as well, just to see if that works better. I've seen people use the Ling on Violent as well. You still need like the plus 170 speed, but that's an option right there. I did went for the Lucian on a 24 accuracy as well. Mind you, things like I can never make a Lucian one-shot waves. It's actually relatively easy. Like Loki, this is way easier than you expect. And let me just see how much damage the Lucian does, and then let me tell you how much I overshoot it, actually. So in this case, it's just slower than the Lucian, and we're looking at 24 accuracy plus. And then this thing is just slower than everything, but still faster than that. And that's pretty much how it is. So let's see how much damage I'm doing with the Lucian per card on this right now. And then let me check. Okay, I was doing 11k. Like, it was just for a frame visible 11k. Let me actually showcase you how much HP these things actually have, because it's definitely not as much. So on this side where I do the speed ticks, where you can also see all of the speed ticks that I have been working with thus far. This is the one that's, yeah, this is like a little bit different. So you have to be like the 270 total speed, but you have to keep in mind that sometimes you have to put that on Swift or not on Swift. So it's, keep it safe, 271, just to keep it safe. But what we can do over here is the dungeon analysis thingies. And I think if I search by Abyss, we're gonna find Steel Fortress Abyss Heart. Yes, sir. How much HP do these things have? 23k. I was doing 11k. You do the math. Like, it's not that hard. Like, I'm overkilling the things by an insane amount with that Lucian over there. So I'm like legit 30-40% overkilling it with that Lucian. So it is not that hard to make a triple fight Lucian one-shot those things, because they don't have that much HP in the first place. So yeah, once again, gonna let it run for a run of 30 and then just see what the results are on this blade one. So I've let it run just a little bit longer just to see how it works. I did 2 more runs of 30. One had like 1 fill in there. The other one was also like 28 seconds. This one was 29 seconds. So because of the fill, it lowers a little bit in average in most cases, because the fill is not counted in the average. So it does look to be like an averaging 30-ish second team. So far, we had like 100 runs, 1 fill, so that's a 99% right there. I'm just gonna let it run for a bit longer, and I'll put it in the title, or like not in the title. Let's put it in the description, like how many times did I run it and how many times did it succeed, failed, and averages over there. So I can actually post this video the moment that I do want to post my video. So guys, thanks a lot for watching for this one. See you as always in the next one. If you have any other team ideas that I haven't showcased on my channel just yet, or is not in the sheet just yet, Let me know. In the sheet, I will only be putting teams that I actually also make a video on. So therefore, it will only be teams that I do think are relevant for the majority of the people. I did make some LD teams in there, such as a Lucifer, but I do think a lot of people started a Lucifer account like a year ago. So for that reason, a Lucifer guide is kind of useful. But if it's like very niche on like a Manananan or something like that, it probably is not going to end up in there. You know, guys, thanks for watching for this one. See you as always in the next one.
Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more guides, join the Discord and check out the content tab for the guide video archive, which contains all of the guides that you might need. Hope to see you there.